Buckle in, buddy.
I'm just filling out my guided hunting journal for this trip we've been on. And then just slowly pull up.
All right, our time together this September has come to an end, but we just wanted to share with you guys our 2023 archery elk hunting adventure.
I think it went on, yeah. Maybe.
How's that sandwich there, buddy?
Delicious.
Getting fueled up?
Yeah.
Got groceries.
Ready to go.
Ready to go. Dude, whose truck is so squatted like that? Look at that thing. It's got a heavy load.
Go roll.
Oh yeah.
Story.
I got my guided journal right here, and I'm just reading through the things I wrote in my hunt summary and kind of talking about it with Deacon. We're going to cut in a bunch of clips that we took while we were out hunting to make it interesting. Morning one, 4 a.m. wake up. That's about all I got to say about that right now. An essential part of any successful elk hunter's morning diet is chocolate milk. Right, Deke?
Correct.
And a ham sandwich.
Big old piece of ham.
Day one shenanigans.
There you go.
Starting at 4, 5 in the morning.
Yeah, what is it, 5:09?
Probably.
5:09 a.m. Yeah. Let's start with the hunt summary. Describe your greatest challenges during this hunt. What do you think, Deke? What was your greatest challenge?
Probably the weather.
You can see the rain coming down over there. I'm just sitting here waiting for this rain to come hit me. It's getting closer and closer and closer. Now it's almost at the base of the mountain. Oh, there's some thunder. I have a feeling I'm about to get dumped on.
And acclimating to elevation.
Buckle in, buddy. Just having to suck it in? Put on some weight or what?
No, it's just stomach hurts.
Oh, yeah. Per usual, day one and Deacon's dying for some reason.
I only came up like 9,000 feet elevation.
We're about to go up a couple hundred more.
Yep.
Deacon was almost dying on day one. He flew out here. He was working out in Minnesota, so we got him out here, and he went from about 1,000 feet straight to 10,000 feet in like 12 hours. And the weather, yeah, we ran into some rain, and once we got wet, we never really got dry. I said it was extremely difficult to get eyes on the elk out there. The forest is so thick, it gets pressured and hunted by a lot of different people, so the elk are super smart. They'll respond to calls. They'll let you get within about 100 yards, but then they either stay put right where they're at or they go the opposite direction. So we definitely learned some stuff on that. We're back in here, day one. We're not hearing many elk. Any elk at all. We haven't popped any. Just a couple grouse, so we're probably gonna go sit some wallows here till the afternoon. I got two bulls right here. One's over there. One's over there. I put myself right in between the two bulls. I've got my decoy set up. I'm gonna see if I can get them to come in. The one over here sounds pretty young, but this one sounds like he might be a mature bull. Fuck yeah.
myself in between those two. I'm gonna hope they call themselves to me.
What do you think our greatest successes during this hunt were?
Probably the memories made, and probably all the hiking we did, the sights we saw.
Yeah, I mean, lots of good times, lots of good sights, and really we got into elk every day. There wasn't a day that went by that we didn't hear bugles. I said we were very successful at finding elk and getting them to respond, just not closing the distance to archery range. I said we stayed motivated, we got out of bed, and I was also able to shoot 2 blue grouse with my 100-year-old 22 pistol. And yeah, just that one bull that we snuck in close on. But
Yeah.
I'd say it was a successful hunt, even though we didn't knock anything down. We learned a lot, always do. That's why I write it down in the journal, so hopefully we don't have to learn the same lessons next year. Even though I definitely learned some of the same lessons this year that I learned last year. Tell a story or two from your hunt. What's your favorite story from this hunt?
Probably tandem riding up and running into the sheep rancher. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, that was cool. We rode my little 250 Kawasaki Bayou clear up to the top of the mountain that we were on. Beautiful sights.
Zach, are you sure you want to get up at 4 in the morning?
And on our way out, the spark plug was fouling up on the four-wheeler because we were so high in elevation it wasn't jetted right. We were up at like 11,000 feet. So we're hauling ass on the way out, trying to get to the downhill part of the road before the four-wheeler died on us. And we ran into this sheep herder just in the middle of nowhere, with a flock of sheep and a couple of border collies. And he was asking us, we don't speak Spanish at all, but he was trying to ask us if we'd seen any sheep. And we're like, no sheep. So that was cool. Yeah, I talked about shooting those grouse.
Those are tasty.
I learned a really quick way to clean pheasants is you basically just step on their wings like this, get as close to the body as you can, and then just slowly pull up. And then their breasts pop out just like that.
Bam. This is not a pheasant, just a disclaimer. This is
No, this is a grouse.
This is a grouse. Nice seed. Oh yeah, some hunter came into our campsite on day 2. He said he was headed to town to get a bear tag, and he said there was a black bear trying to get into his buddy's camper at his camp last night. He said the bear got into his cooler, it got into his beer, so apparently there was a drunk black bear up there on the mountain. And then the story of the bull that we almost got a shot at. We were walking in this middle road, I call it my honey hole area. It's a really good area to find elk in. We were walking in the middle road, and about 3/4 of the way down, we heard a bugle. It was probably 400 or 500 yards away, pretty distant. So we stayed quiet, and we pressed forward in the direction of the bugle, and then we stopped, try and locate him again. So I let out a location bugle. They call it a location bugle, and he was like 50 to 70 yards away, just screamed. He was pissed off, just screamed right back at us. Our wind was good, and this bull walks up to this pretty tall pine tree and just starts shaking the shit out of it. The whole tree is shaking, pine needles are falling everywhere. It was a crazy sight to behold. And this bull's coming in hot and heavy. We're not ready. We're fumbling around trying to get our bows out of our packs. I'm trying to get the camera set up. We just weren't ready for the bull to be that close. We thought he was still a little ways off, but he was only like 50 yards away. And he starts coming in. Deacon gets his bow out, and we're tucked behind a couple small trees, but in hindsight, we didn't really have enough cover where we were at. This bull comes out, and I can see his ivory tips walking through the forest. I knew it was a pretty good bull for an over-the-counter public land area, especially. And he starts moving off to the left of us. Deacon hadn't seen him yet because he was looking past the bull. He thought he was further away. And so I'm pointing over here to the left. I'm like, he's gonna come out right over here. And Deacon peeks his head up and just barely looks around the tree he was hiding behind. The elk saw him, turned around, and bumped right back into the woods, and we never seen or heard from him again. We probably heard him again in that same area, but we never saw that bull again.
What just happened? Bull came through. Well, it was. We got in here, we bugled, and there was a bull like 50 yards away. He started coming down, and I was pointing at where he was gonna be. Deacon moved so that he could try and see him. Went to draw his bow. And he busted.
So that was our closest experience with wildlife on this hunt. Describe the most interesting things you witnessed and the best locations from your hunt without giving away our honey hole. What was the most interesting thing we witnessed? Probably the sheep herder way up in the mountains.
Yeah, in a spot you wouldn't think anyone would be. I don't think what else we saw.
I mean, that encounter with the bull was obviously really cool.
Yeah.
And then was it day 3 when we really got into him?
We were chasing the 3 bulls.
Yeah, we were chasing 3 bulls on day 3, just bugling. Happening everywhere. I lost my bugle tube that day, but Deacon said that made his trip because he'd never been in the elk when they're bugling like that, so that was really cool. And I'd say the best location, first of all, an Italian restaurant in a small town in the middle of nowhere.
Very good.
That was absolutely delicious. That was one of the best locations of the hunt, and there were no elk to be found there. And I would say, I mean, obviously the honey hole, those 3 roads, great location.
Yeah.
But I think my favorite from this trip was when we went up to the peak, rode the 4-wheeler up there, and we could just look out over the entire mountain range that we were hunting. It was really cool, and we found a nice new area that I can check out maybe later in a week or so, or maybe have to wait till next year. But that was a really cool location. Estimate the number of game animals you saw on your hunt. How many bulls did we see?
We saw probably 2.
I'd say 2 bulls. That one, the second day, and then the last day we saw one on the road.
Just the rear end.
Just the rear end of it, man.
Fleeting glimpse.
Yeah, these elk are so hard to hunt. I mean, it's the thickest forest you could ever imagine. Downfall everywhere, and the elk won't budge past 100 yards. They just will not move. What about cows? I think we saw 2 cows. We bumped them on the way back to camp on, what was it, day 3? evening of day 3, I think. So 2 cows, 2 bulls are what we saw, but we heard a lot more than that. List the different species of wildlife you saw on your hunt. I have blue grouse, elk, beaver, bald eagle, many birds, a marten. Is there anything else that we saw?
No. We saw tracks for a wolf, but
Yeah, I saw some
never saw a
wolf
wolf.
tracks. Yeah, we didn't see any mule deer this time. Didn't see any moose.
We saw some mule deer on the road in.
Oh, yeah.
Just those does.
Yeah, and some antelope too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's kind of just a given in Wyoming to see antelope.
Yeah, for sure. Typical Wyoming stuff. Describe your closest experience with wildlife during this hunt. That was definitely the bull that we almost got on day 2 that we told you guys about. Summarize what you learned during this hunt. It could be about hunting, yourself, tactics, life, family, and or anything else that impacted you along this adventure. What do you think your biggest lesson was on this hunt?
If you can set your mind to it, you can do it. I was seriously doubting my abilities to hike anywhere during the week, especially the first couple days. I got out of bed and I was like, I don't even know if I can go out today. The first morning I couldn't even eat breakfast because I felt like I was just gonna throw up. I ended up, I think, eating half of a little breakfast burrito and then just said I can do it. Worst case scenario, I can't, and I ended up doing it all week. I only took one morning off. That and kind of just be super careful when you're getting in close to bulls, which is kind of a given, but when your adrenaline's going, your mind just goes
You
blank.
don't think about it when you're close to a bull. You just want to see that bull, especially in a high pressure unit. And being super careful doesn't even do it justice. Like, you cannot be seen, you cannot be smelled. You can be heard a little bit, but you cannot be seen, and you cannot let them catch your wind. And when I say you can't be seen, I don't mean peek around a tree. You peek around a tree and the bull sees you, he's gone. So I would say my biggest lesson this hunt was have cover on all sides, kind of like you were saying, for sure. But I would say if you're team hunting, team hunt. Somebody goes in to shoot the bull, somebody stays back and calls, because you're going to be way more successful that way. I mean, we were kind of staying together the whole time, and I think one of the biggest things we could have done differently was if I would have stayed back and kept the bull's attention, because they wouldn't come past 100 yards. They would not come into calls. They were not walking in our direction, except that one time when we called like 50 yards from a bull.
Yeah, and I think we accidentally stumbled upon him, and he just didn't know we were there.
Yeah, he had no idea we were there.
He was just as surprised as we were, and that's why he came at us so fast.
Yeah. So I would say the biggest thing is when you're team hunting, have one guy back like 100 yards from where you think the elk are. Not like 50, not 20 yards, like literally 100 yards. And just have him there cow calling and bugling every once in a while to keep his attention. And then the guy that's going to go in to shoot, he can use his ear from what you're doing back there, and he can slowly sneak in, use all of his cover, play the wind right, and maybe have a chance at actually getting the bull, because the bull thinks you're farther back. He doesn't know another hunter's sneaking in there. So I knew about that tactic, but I didn't know it as well as I know it now. Like, you really have to stay back quite a ways. I would say about 100 yards. So that was my biggest lesson. Let's see what else we got. Any additional thoughts, Deacon? That's about the end of the hunt summary section there.
It was a good hunt. We definitely learned a lot. Yeah, and I think a pretty important thing is you shouldn't expect to harvest an animal. Just enjoy it. Enjoy the being in nature. I mean, like, going back to Minnesota, definitely going to miss Wyoming a lot. And just value your time out in the mountains.
Absolutely. Value your time in the mountains, value your time with your friends and with your family, because that's what it's about at the end of the day. And it doesn't matter how good of a hunter you are, you know, sometimes the elk are just going to win, and it takes years of experience.
Yeah. And if you put your whole trip's mood dependent on harvesting something, you're not going to have a fun time.
Yeah, you're going to be really disappointed when you go home. So remember, it's about the experience, it's about the memories. Here at Mountain Country Outdoors, we are for the memories. Deacon and I recorded a bunch of videos. We took a bunch of pictures that we're going to put in our guided hunting journals. Here, I got this thing all filled out with all of our weather, tips and tricks, everything. So make sure you pick up your guided hunting journal from mountaincountry.outdoors.com. It's www.mtncountry.outdoors.com. Get it before the season gets too far along. And man, record these memories, because at the end of the day, like Deacon said, that's what it's about. Enjoying your time in the mountains. And these experiences, we can go back and read these and we can remember, oh, we didn't stay far enough back when we were bugling. Or we can be like, okay, this area was really good. Oh, we checked out this new area, we didn't get enough time there, let's check it out next year. Things like that. And also, all these stories that we just shared, all these memories we made, they're all in this journal now. And man, I couldn't imagine being a little kid and getting to go back and read through all my grandpa's hunting journals and see the mounts and the pictures that go along with it. You got to take some time at the end of the day to write stuff down, but even a week after the hunt, when you get to look back on that and you have those solid memories, man, it is invaluable. So make sure you pick up your guided hunting journal at mtncountry.outdoors.com, and we will catch you guys on the next hunt.